is false. There's all kinds of words going out there. We take this truckers situation in Ottawa. We have the media saying that they're terrorists and they're messing up the city and they're doing all this stuff, and they're flying Confederate flags and swastikas and all this kind of stuff. You have one side of it, and then you have the word from the people who are actually on the ground there telling about the joy that's in the place and how they are guarding the monuments and how they are coming peaceful, and even some police officers and so forth talking about the peace that's taken place in the midst of a large crowd that could have the potential of riots and so forth, but nothing like that's happened. Well, whose report are you going to believe? And this is the thing that we have to ask ourselves: whose report will you believe today? Because the reports out there's many reports out there. There's reports that really has led us in a wrong direction, I believe, for a long time now. There's reports saying that, because of all the restrictions that have taken place and all the restrictions that have put on, we've saved a lot of lives. They will, blow that up and think that that's wonderful. Well, Dr. Jordan Peterson made this statement. He quoted a study done by Johns Hopkins University, which he claimed is probably one of the most prestigious universities in the world for their integrity. And they put out data. They did a study and they put out data that said that all the restrictions that were put on, if they had any benefit at all when it come to the mortality rate, it would be 0.2%, if any, if it had made any difference at all. Well, whose report are you going to believe? One or the other. And it's important what we believe, or it's important what we hear, what we take into our minds. It's important the kind of things that we settle in our hearts and our minds, because we are going to be using our faith to draw that to us. And there's reports saying, it's initially, this in most of the world is still the case, but there's lots of reports coming out, or have been coming out, that you cannot treat COVID-19. You cannot treat it at all. You just have to go home. If you got it, you just have to go home. And if you get real sick, then you'll have to come to the hospital. Well, that was the report that they were giving out. But now we're signing all kinds of different reports. Like there's a lot of early medications that can be used for it. And many doctors are having great success with treating early onset of COVID-19 with I'm not bothered mentioning the medications, but early medications. And so whose report are you going to believe? You believe that there's absolutely nothing that can be done, or is there some hope? I choose to believe for hope. I choose to believe the good report. What's interesting to me is, and the thing about a lot of this is the evidence is so clear, but yet a lot of times we don't believe it. Any informed person, I believe, has to be able to see the ambiguousness of the statements that have been put out. We have a nation of India that's way over 1 billion people, and they have 1/3 of the deaths of the United States. Now, isn't it interesting that they started early treatment a lot sooner? When you look at the evidence, you have to choose. You have to look at the evidence and be an informed believer, and then choose what report you're going to believe, and then run with it. Whose report will you believe? I say we've got to believe the report of the Lord. We've got to look at what God is saying. We've got to look at truth and what God is saying. God is behind truth. He's not behind falsehood. He's not behind a lot of the things that have been put out today. He is a God of truth. Mark 4:24, Jesus is saying,